Clouds, some sunny breaks, and breezy, a high of 66. A storm out over the ocean could bring a shower with some rain by early Saturday, especially toward the Cape, near a 60. For WATD, I'm meteorologist Rob Gilman.
In Marshfield at the weather station WATD, I'm Lenny Rowe, WATD News Time 6:15. Now it's time for Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara right here on 95.9 WATD.
Now, Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm Sharon McNamara, and you
I'm going to take you off cue. You'll be hot mic very soon.
A little bit about my background before we get started.
No problem.
I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique real estate firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing consultants who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be an experience. Every week, my real estate team member, Mary Baker, and I, along with the director of Boston Connect Real Estate, Melissa Wallace, provide you with our unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our
Facebook, everyone.
Navigating the home buying process. We like to mix it up sometimes, so not only will you hear our perspective on real estate topics, but you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of some of our real estate agents at Boston Connect Real Estate and the preferred professionals that we trust. Be part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team or one of the dedicated agents at Boston Connect Real Estate to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with us at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all our South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable with Boston Connect Real Estate's broker team. My name is Melissa Wallace, and I am joined in studio by my team member, Mary Baker.
Hey there, Mel.
Hello, the newly engaged Mary Baker.
It hasn't worn off its luster yet. I'm still very excited.
I'm really hoping that I could sing at the wedding because clearly I'm so good at it. But we are also joined in studio by Kristen Howlett. She is a full-time real estate agent here at Boston Connect Real Estate. Hello, Kristen.
Guess who's back?
Guess who's back?
Back again.
I posted in the interoffice. We have a private Facebook group for our office that I was back with like a cat, like aggressively typing on her laptop because that's me. Because I'm back from Florida.
How was your vacation?
It was fun. It was fun. It was good. It was good to see my friend and her husband, and I stayed with them and their two kids. So they're just adorable. 4 and 2.
It's nice to catch up, right?
Yeah. I walked through the door and Liam, he's 2. He goes, "Hi, friend." Just like kept saying that all weekend. So they're the cutest. But
nice.
Yeah, but it's good to be back though.
I agree with what you said earlier. You said that you feel like you came back and the leaves completely changed and have started to fall. I 1000% agree.
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't like this last week.
It was not like this. I left and went to 90-degree weather, came home, and it's fall, y'all.
You look like it's fall. I look like it's winter.
I know. Now I'm having like a heat stroke over here with the lights so high. If you watch us on Facebook, so I haven't shared it yet. I will once Mary takes over here. Okay. But we are live on Facebook. So if you're friends with Sharon Custom McNamara, Sharon is not here tonight. She had a couple appointments that she was going to tonight. So we said, you know what? Don't worry, relax at your appointments, and we'll take over. And then we sort of convinced Kristen to join us. If you are watching us on Facebook, you can see that we have margaritas. Cheers. Cheers to doing the radio show.
Cheers to Mary.
Cheers to Mary. Yes. Cheers to Mary and Sam. Okay, so tonight we are going to be talking about real estate terms. So it's terms, acronyms that are pretty common in the real estate world. So somebody who might not be familiar with the business or buying or selling a home might hear these terms being thrown around, and we're going to sort of talk about those, right?
This is one of my favorite topics, actually.
Oh, okay.
So does anybody remember, and I don't know if I went to a parochial school, St. Margaret's in Arlington Catholic. And we had these things called white books, and they were vocabulary books. So I get super excited about vocabulary. I don't know why or like just acronyms, synonyms, everything. This is Sharon's stats. This is my forte.
Yeah, she
I don't know.
sometimes says like you say these words, and I'm just like,
I don't
huh?
know. What's your word?
Like, yeah, I'm just gonna go with it. It makes
All
sense.
the lingo.
And then Sharon will be like, "You've said that word a lot lately."
It's my word of the week.
Word of the week. Word of the week. But okay, so I thought that maybe we can start off with like, what's the difference?
Okay.
So if you look through sort of, the first section of your agenda that I worked on,
I'm gonna give Kristen the first one.
Okay, yeah,
Ooh.
give Kristen the first one. I'm gonna go grab my laptop so
like
you guys take over. Is your headphones not working?
I don't know. Are they?
I don't know. I don't have your ears. I have
can't
mine.
hear.
We'll fix that.
Yeah, we'll fix that. So, Mary, take over.
So Kristen, this is the fundamental, right? And I think it gets confused a lot. What is the difference between a salesperson, a real estate salesperson, and a realtor?
Oh, well,
Loaded question.
Well, they both are licensed.
Yep.
A realtor is just a designation. We're part of a membership of realtors.
So what membership do we as Boston? So at Boston Connect, we are all realtors.
National Association of Realtors.
And we belong to the National Association of Realtors, aka NAR, NAR, and MAR, Massachusetts Association of Realtors.
Correct.
And then what's the I feel like I'm quizzing you.
Lay it on me.
So what is one standard that I think realtors operate at that real estate salespeople are not required?
Ethics.
Code of ethics. Yep. And what's the code of ethics?
A list of kind of rules that we abide by.
Yeah, it's to operate us in a truthful and transparent manner and in the best interest of your clients, but also cooperate with other agents essentially and kind of operate on the up and up. And one thing I think that our code of ethics and belonging to MAR and NAR, so those two associations, and even at our local board, so you're probably part of South Shore. Yeah, South Shore Realtors, right? And I personally am part of the Greater Boston board. But by being a realtor and having those boards kind of behind you, what we have is an arbitration. So if there was ever a code of ethics violation, there's a standard that we're held to, right? And if somebody wanted to make a complaint, they could do so, and we could be seen by our essentially board of ethics, right?
So realtor to realtor, we could do
realtor to realtor. Yep.
So not that this would ever happen, but if you ever
never happened to
did
me, knock on
something
wood.
that right that I thought you violated your code of ethics,
Yep.
I would file a complaint,
grievance, right?
And then you would state your case and
vice versa. And it's kind of like a judge and jury, right? It's you're stating your case in front of a board of peers. So I think realtors and even, everybody here at Boston Connect Real Estate is a realtor, not a real estate salesperson. I feel like we lean into the code of ethics a lot and say, we have a standard operating procedure of what, or a standard at which we have to abide to.
Agreed.
And that's why.
And I think we also talk about it as things come up, as they change, as they
progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we all know that real estate is an ever-changing world. Okay.
Amen. I'm back.
Next one. All right. You're back just in the nick of time. What's the difference between an assessment and an appraisal?
An assessment. So you're talking about like when Sharon goes and does her like CMAs and stuff like that. So a comparative market analysis.
No. So I'd be saying an assessment as in the town assessment.
Okay. So a town assessment is, so they use the past 2 years of sales, typically in sales. It's the average sale price in that market for that town, to assess the value of your home. So that's what you're going to be taxed on. That you might have this grandiose house and all this stuff, whatever, but it does factor into it somewhat, but because somebody from the town, could come to your house and assess your house and put a value on it. And that's what you're going to be taxed on for the year. But an appraisal is, an appraiser will come to your house and, sort of go through, not with a fine tooth comb, but like they do ask questions, usually the realtor is there. Or if you're doing a private appraisal, they'll ask, the homeowner a couple questions, any
Recent
updates,
yeah.
any updates that have been done to the house and stuff like that. And they'll go back 6 months. So they compare apples to apples. So if you live in a Cape, they're going to look at the past 6 months worth of Capes in that town, usually within like a 2-mile radius, right?
Yeah.
To
1 to
get
2,
that
yeah.
value of your house. Of course, with towns that don't have a lot of sales, it's a little bit harder, and they might have to go back or make their range radius a little bit bigger. But that's sort of the difference between those two.
Do you have to
right?
have an
You
appraisal
did a
with
very good
every
job.
sale?
No, you don't.
We've talked about waived appraisal contingencies on this show, and I'm glad people aren't doing it right now. And disclaimer, PSA, I'm really glad people aren't doing it right in this current moment in time.
Yes. But if you do want to ask us a question, you can call George at the studio, 781-837-4900, and he will connect you to us. Or you can go on Facebook Live and send us a comment there. Who wants to give out their phone number? Because Sharon usually gives out their phone number for text messages.
Oh, I feel like this is going to be me, 774-444-7761.
Yes, that is a real phone number. We get the question every time. Yes, it is. But
Google me. It's there.
Google it. But that's sort of what an assessment is versus an appraisal value. So
Absolutely.
usually if your house is on the market and somebody's going for a mortgage, typically, an appraiser has to come out to see that the value of that loan that they're going for is there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The fundamental difference between an assessment is one is being done by the town and an appraisal. So assessment is being done by the town and an appraisal is being done by a private party hired by a bank, essentially.
Yeah.
And their operating procedures are completely different. So
And the value may be very different.
exactly. So a lot of times, and I know you probably get this questions from your clients all the time. Well, why is the listing price so much higher than the assessment or the assessed value? And the truth is the two just do not correlate in the way that people think that they do.
It's like when people look on Zillow or Trulia and they sort of get what they think that the value of their house is, but Zillow and Trulia aren't coming into your house and looking at everything that you've done or everything that you haven't done. So it could go both ways. It can undervalue your house or it can overvalue your house based off of, the condition. It doesn't have, condition or location. That's not like a factor.
Yeah.
With Zillow and stuff like that. So
difference between a broad range spectrum of housing versus a very niche market or a very hyper local value.
Well, also when, I know this is sort of off topic, but when you're, putting a value on the house, when you're putting it on the market, you also have to, think about, okay, is this a very specific type of property for
external architects who've done a peer review?
A very specific type of property. So it might be a little bit harder. I mean, we had a property on the market for a while, 2 years ago. And it was an antique and it had an industrial kitchen. It was just very specific to a buyer. So it can be a while to get an offer, or you might be flying off the shelves.
We've said it before. What is the true definition of value, guys? Value is whatever buyers are willing to pay for a particular property at a particular given point in time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Back on topic.
Okay. Do you want to continue on with yours? Or no, I want to ask you questions too. What's the difference?
I'm doing enough talking in between.
What's the difference between a pre-approval and a prequalification?
So a pre-qualification is essentially a broad range. I go online or I provide a lender with very basic information about me. And based off of that information, they can issue me saying, like, based off of everything that you said, I'm going to take your word for it. We can issue you a pre-qualification. So I'm telling them I'm making $80,000 a year. I have a steady job. I might have an 800 credit score, but they're not actually fact checking any of that. So And the different and a pre-approval is we've verified your W-2s to make sure that you make that 800K. We have looked up your credit score and pulled a credit report on you. We have, did I say 800K? Or 80K? Because like, I don't know if I'm living in a millionaire world, but that's not for sure. But they've essentially verified all of the information that you're giving them so they can issue you a stronger pre-approval letter stating that, you know, they've looked into who you are essentially, and you know that everything that you're telling them is true and you can truly afford these things. As a listing agent and even as a buyer's agent, we always suggest when you have the time to get a pre-approval letter, because you're going to be stronger in your offers when we're presenting them to listing agents or when listing agents are reviewing them. A pre-qualification would be something you would use kind of in a crunch, like it's Sunday night and a offer deadline is 6 p.m. and you have an hour. You might try and get a pre-qualification.
And I think pre-qual, I think like Rocket Mortgage.
Yes.
Pre-approval, I think local lender that you've spoken
bank.
to, that you've kind of
had a
they've
relationship.
vetted you.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and we are as agents, I think we're very critical of the pre-approvals or pre-qualifications that we're getting, especially now. And what we just came off of the spring market that was very, very fast paced. And we saw a lot of buyer's remorse. So it's important. It's a factor for sure.
Yeah.
I won't get too much into it because we could do another show on that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, as a listing agent, when you see an offer come in with a pre-qualification, what do you think?
No way, Jose.
No way. Yeah. No. Not even. So, I mean, if it was a really, really good offer and still kind of outstanding everybody else, I'd probably have a conversation with the lender to just try and see, and, or if they could get pre-qualified with one of my own lenders, somebody that I have a relationship with and I know can kind of back up what they say. If I wasn't experienced with that, with whoever the pre-qualification came through, but it's kind of like a red flag, like a relationship red flag, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love all those memes going on right now with like the red flags.
Oh, I saw a fun buyer's agent one that was red flag.
Oh, you'll have to send it to me for the
meme,
newsletter this week. But all right, what is the difference between the monies and escrows and your down payment at closing?
You're asking me, you're asking Kristen.
Either one of you.
Do you want the buzzer?
I'm sorry, what was it? The difference between
the monies that you put in escrow, so it's with your offer and the purchase and sales, and then the monies that you bring to the closing for your additional down payment.
Well, if you're putting down 20%, that would be your down payment. And if you put down with your offer, typically we ask for, you know, 1,000, 1,500 with the first deposit. And your second is typically maybe 5%, could go up to 10%.
Yeah, usually say like a 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Is a safe bet.
But that goes against your down payment. It's kind of a big umbrella. And then, you know, whoever the listing agent, the brokerage will hold the escrow, which will be that 5%, 3 to 5%, which is the first deposit and the second deposit. The first one is just good faith that kind of seals the offer. And the second,
the deal for a time.
I actually like the way that you said that it goes against. So it's like a tally sheet. So if you're putting down 20% and in total, right, over the grand scheme of the transaction, and you put 5% total down as your escrow funds, then you only have to make up 15%.
Exactly. And I always tell my buyers, I don't, you know, unless of course it was we had the listing. I don't typically want the other brokerage holding much more money than they really have to, what I feel comfortable, because my fiduciary responsibility is with my buyers. So if something went wrong, I don't want them holding a whole 20%.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As opposed to, you know, 5% is still a lot, but you know, it's more
typically,
manageable.
If a buyer hires an attorney that is sort of savvy in this world, they'll see that, you know, in the offer, it's like 20% down and they're like, no, we're changing this. Like,
so I have a loaded question with that.
Okay.
Why in this industry do we see people put down more than 5% at purchase and sales agreement in escrow funds?
I think there are a couple answers for that. One could be the agent's fault. It could be that the agent isn't sort of savvy and knowing. The other could be that they're trying to prove that they have skin in the game and they are trying to outwin everybody else.
So proving how serious they are about the property.
Proving how serious they
Okay.
are, because they have a potential, they could potentially lose that money or, split the difference or whatever. Something could happen. We've seen it, and, it's not always pretty, but, you could lose that money and the seller could keep it. But were you expecting a different answer?
No, that's exactly what I was thinking. You just hit a point, and I think it's important to mention that. So the escrow funds that you put up, whilst they are protected, right? They're protected by your offer and they're protected by your purchase and sales agreement and the contingencies that you have within those two agreements. Purchase and sale superseding that. So it depends on where you're at. But technically, if you violate any portion of that agreement, right, the escrow funds are at risk. And that's what you're talking about, losing your deposit. So when we're saying we only try and put down potentially 5%, and we don't really advise doing much more because we're trying not to risk all of your down payment money, but still prove that you are very financially capable.
And
right?
also how much you put down as a down payment is also, dependent on what kind of loan program that you're going for as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you might not be able to afford to put 5% down, but you are able to afford to buy something. So those are conversations that you have to have with your loan officers to see like where you sort of lie in that. And then there's programs with $0 down,
Yep.
or you put the money down, but you get it back at closing. There's programs really for everybody.
We should do a whole program on loans and all the different types that are out there.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many.
We gotta get a loan officer or two on here again.
I know a good one.
Don't
would
everybody
in.
come running at once. We just asked the hard question.
We just asked the hard questions. Yeah. Okay. So anything else with, also just because I am the person that does all of our escrow deposits here, we are supposed to keep them in a non-interest bearing escrow account. So that is a separate account. We don't commingle funds.
That's a big no.
It's a separate account with our bank that we don't make any money off of. So it's a non-interest bearing account.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Anything else we want to talk about
I think we
what's
skipped
the
one.
difference between so buyer's agent versus seller's
No.
agent? What?
Contingent versus under
I think
agreement.
that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
You
Contingent
take it.
versus under agreement.
We get this all the time because if somebody's searching on Zillow or Realtor or Redfin, you might see something that's active and then all of a sudden it's contingent and then it's gone. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's sold. It means that it went from new. It probably has an accepted offer. If it's contingent, and it's contingent based upon it may be home inspection
It
or
has some sort of contingency where it's like it might not move forward, but it might. That's my robot voice.
probably will.
Yeah.
Or I always say, let's just keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
You never know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too. We may have a lot of listeners who haven't secured an agent yet. So they're just kind of dabbling on Zillow and looking, and then you think it's gone. But if you have an agent like myself or Mary who will do the background work for you and kind of keep it, if you loved that one, you felt like you missed the boat, we might keep an eye on it and then it will come back on market where we can kind
It's
of
been known to
dig a
happen.
little deeper. So I think that's important. And then under agreement means that a signed purchase and sale, it's kind of that next step. So that's a little bit more.
Sorry, that's when, and we see this a lot, actually. That's when we see on the third party sites, typically when in our MLS system, which is the multiple listing service, that's where the hub of all in the South Shore, really, in greater Boston area, where if you get a listing, that's where you would put it. When we mark under agreement, it feeds to those third party sites. And for some reason, as of recently, they stopped marking them as sale pending and started taking them or marking them as off market.
Yep.
So I have a lot of buyers that come to me and say, oh, I wonder what happened with this house.
Yep.
Like it's off market now. I'm like, it's not really off market. It just means it's under agreement. So yes, it's off market, so to speak, but the sale hasn't been completed.
Right.
Right. So that's the difference between the third party sites. I'm going to choke. I'm going to choke. I'm talking too fast. See, I told you I was going to get too excited about this one, guys.
Yeah,
I did.
That was MLS was one of the acronyms that we were going to get to, but yeah. So
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
spoiler alert.
Sorry.
But yeah, anything else with this section that you want to talk about before we move on to the
I
acronyms?
I see.
It's the first one on the list. Okay, so we'll just move on. So we'll talk about this sort of. Okay, what? Go ahead.
I think we should talk about the difference between a buyer's agent and a seller's agent.
Okay, well then I gave you the opportunity, and you
because we can go
glazed
through the
over it.
acronyms pretty quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
The only reason I'm bringing it up is because I think there's a misconception that if you're a buyer's agent, you can't be a seller's agent. So take Sharon and I as a team. Sharon's primary role on our team is as the seller's agent. So she works a lot with new listings that we have coming on. And my primary role is as a buyer's agent. So I work with the buyers that we have coming in to help them find properties. But I'm also a co-listing agent to her, and she's a co-buyer's agent to me. So what a buyer's agent and a listing agent are essentially is, how am I operating at that specific point in time? Who am I representing in any given transaction? And that's the very simple version, because it can get very complicated. An agency is a completely different thing that we can talk about. But just because I'm a buyer's agent doesn't mean that I can't be a listing agent, and vice versa.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
Did I explain that well
Yeah.
enough?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I think that's a great show
Yeah.
to talk to
agency.
and just, how it affects the consumer.
Yeah.
And how it, how sometimes
I would love to actually do a show kind of on agency and have listeners or buyers, past clients, anybody kind of give us their questions so that we could answer them, or even ask us questions.
Yeah.
Because I think we think almost single-mindedly because we're so used to it, but to have somebody else kind of ask us would be interesting.
Yeah, there's just so much with agency. There's dual agency, there's a facilitator, there's all these things that we can
I want the
go
tough
through.
questions. That's what we have to do. We have to set that up.
You want the tough questions to answer?
No, about
yeah,
agency.
maybe it could be anonymous questions.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Yeah.
we'll set it up.
You guys, that's
One
a future
day.
show.
That is
Yeah.
important though.
Someday in the
It
future.
is important because buyers should always be represented.
1000%. I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That was
Okay.
my one.
All right. Are we moving on to acronyms now?
Yes.
Okay. So when somebody sees SF,
Single family, buzzer,
when somebody sees MF,
Multifamily.
multifamily, that could be how many?
Duplex?
How many units?
3
Two.
family, six unit, 30 unit.
Yeah. 100 unit.
That's out of my league.
RNT.
Rental.
Rental.
This is like a game now. Okay, so
We don't. Oh, but let me piggyback on that. We don't see a lot of rentals anymore on MLS.
I think a lot of
I
people are
agree.
trying to do things off market,
Yeah.
but we have this year, and I've sent out multiple emails to the office and talked to a few agents. We've had a lot of people either call or walk in to the office looking for rentals.
Yeah.
I think the rental game has changed personally. Like, I think it's almost more important now to have an agent than it was before, because there's a lot more regulations and nuances and a lot more money that's being exchanged during these lease agreements than
Agreed.
I've kind of ever seen.
Mhm.
We don't particularly do, me and Sharon, a lot of rentals because it just doesn't happen so often for us. We do them very frequently. I mean, not very frequently. We do them often for referrals, but it isn't our main focus.
Yeah, referrals or short-term rentals. So if
Yeah.
it's a client that is going to new construction and they sold their house, they need some sort of interim housing or anything like that. Or maybe a buyer that's been in the game for a while and they just sort of want to give up for a little bit,
Yeah.
or just like take a break, or they need to move wherever it is that they are.
Sure,
So
but the ones
that's
that I
sort of-
see, I'm amazed at how drastically it's changed
yeah.
over the past couple of years personally.
Yeah, but you know,
super
we've had-
competitive too.
we've had a very big increase of people reaching out, whether it's through our website or coming in or calling with rentals.
Yeah.
And it's always, do you have any agents that do rentals? That's the first question.
I feel like that could be a whole thing in and of itself, people. Just saying.
And I think maybe
Specialize in
not
rentals.
on the South Shore, but
Yeah.
maybe more Boston.
Mhm.
But here I just feel like renter, I'm not articulating. correctly.
Landlord?
Landlords are more inclined to do Craigslist or
Yeah.
things because they don't really, they
They
can
don't
do
wanna
it without having to pay the fee,
I agree.
Yeah.
which is fine. And that's fine. I pass that on. I'll always help somebody with a rental and not try to get, I don't.
Compensation
Yeah,
back. from
Yeah,
it.
it's-
because sometimes
it's all
the,
good.
it's the renter, it's
Right.
the tenant that is
Right.
paying
Exactly.
paying that. So I mean, it's expensive to move into an apartment,
First, last,
first
security.
a fee, everything, the whole 9 yards. So it can get pretty pricey, but all right, back to
Again,
our
another show.
show. Yeah, I think we could do a show on everything we've talked about so far. Okay, when you see DOM and a number, what is it?
Days on market.
Okay.
1.
Why is that significant?
It tells you how quickly an offer was accepted, essentially. So typically our days on market over the spring were very, very short. But now, so short being you'd list on a Thursday, have an accepted offer by a Monday. So you have a 4-day days on market. Now we're actually seeing that number tick up, and we've done a show on stats and what that kind of the increase in days on market, how that correlates with price changes and prices in general. So that was an interesting show. But it is important. It's trend watching.
Why do you guys have high days on market?
You guys, as in me and Sharon, right?
Mhm.
We tend to have a very high days on market because we do a lot of new construction and take our new development, Copperwood Circle and Bristol Estates. We had multiple model homes that some weren't even constructed at that point, but we had them listed in MLS as opportunities for buyers to get in kind of at the ground level that would have a days on market of 300 days. We've been at Copperwood for almost 3.5 years, February of 2018. And we just accepted our final contract on our final house. Yeah. It's a whole chapter of our lives. But that's typically why.
Yeah. High days on market. What do you think?
That means nothing.
It
to me.
means nothing, but what
It says more about the market than it
what
says
could
about the agent, in my
think
opinion.
about like what style, type, home, location, everything could have a high days on market?
Well, you nailed it on the head earlier with the antique, with the industrial kitchen. If you have a very particular house or a niche house that has uniqueness in it in general. We had a beautiful home on a farm. Remember the hidden acres farm in Marshfield? We had that for several months, and it was just about finding the right buyer who wanted to maintain this beautiful farm.
Right.
It wasn't for everybody. It was something that was
a
going to
particular
require.
house.
Yeah, it was.
And
gonna
our goal
require
is
a lot of
always
TLC.
to sell for the most amount of money in the shortest time possible. But sometimes the sellers are willing to wait for the right buyer and the right price. And that's when days on market really
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yep.
I agree.
All right. ACT.
Active
in what?
It means it means active in MLS. It means if you called me today, I could go show you that house today.
What about new?
New's
only new for 7 days?
No, not even that long.
5 days?
It's like 2.
I think it's
No, I think it's more.
I think it's more. I think it's 3 now.
3 days. It's new.
I think it's 3.
So it goes from new to active.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's CTG.
And
contingent.
it could there. So here's another thing. Here's another layer here. It could have an accepted offer, but still say active in MLS. And something,
Naughty.
the reason why people do that is because they haven't received the escrow deposit check for the offer that they accepted. So it's sort of like,
I'm kind of a rule follower.
it's binding.
Like that.
Yeah. It once they get the check in their hands, that's when it's binding.
So oddly enough, I like that you just said that, because we had some out of town clients that were visiting last weekend, and they sent me a list of 9 to 10 houses that they wanted to see Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I started calling all of these agents because I was seeing that they were showing active, but they either came on the week before and had open houses that weekend, or there was just, I wanted to check, especially because we were actually selling down Cape. And out of the 9, only 3 of them were actually active.
Yeah, I
So
had
the other
that.
6
I
were-
had that problem when you were away, when you went to Nantucket. And I was just trying to set up some showings for Sharon for a couple of your buyers. And this one agent in particular was not getting back to me. I left a message that everything. So finally I texted them, and they texted me back like 8 hours later saying, oh, we've accepted an offer. And I responded with, well, it's still active in MLS. And like,
That's a whole
at that
nother
point, it
show.
had like 10 days. Like it had been active for 10 days. So I'm like,
when did you accept the offer?
That's a whole nother show.
and they never responded.
That is a whole nother show.
They never responded to me, but I'm just letting you know, I know that it was still active in MLS.
I tell people, I'm like, hey, totally get it. You're still active. Just want to let you know you're probably still going to get calls.
Right.
Yeah, but the fact that she was so short with me just rubbed
How
me
could
the wrong
anybody
way.
ever be
And,
short
and
with you?
you know what? That goes both ways, because it's relative. And if you want to get your client, if it's important to get that offer, you know what? Get that check. Get it in.
So that actually has happened in circumstances with us, because we don't mark contingent until we have the check. And I'm very truthful with agents. Sharon is very transparent and say, hey, we have an accepted offer. We just haven't gotten the check yet. In all reality, if a buyer wanted to submit an offer at that point in time because we haven't received the check, not only do we legally have to present any offer during a given transaction, but technically the contract isn't bound at that point. So if it was a better offer, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Not that it happens very often,
Yeah.
but just saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip a couple just for time's sake, but FSBO.
For sale by owner.
I just love the way that you're
means
answering
the
it.
owner is trying to sell it themselves. CMA,
Comparative market analysis.
which is what?
It is when we go out and give you a fair market value of your home.
Sharon has a very lovely presentation.
Oh, yes, she does.
I think Mary and I have listened to it a
I could
million
rehearse
times.
it in. I've
and- yeah.
dreamt that CMA
Yeah,
presentation.
we could give it to you right now if
Do you
you
want
had
us
8
to?
hours. Just kidding. It's great. I mean, she
Very, very thorough.
Yeah, it's very, very thorough. Samuel Horton is going to be doing his all over again,
Yep.
I believe, for his buyers and possibly his sellers as well.
I actually think Sharon just revamped hers too.
Yeah, so it's good. Have you revamped yours?
Not since COVID.
Oh, well, you could.
I'm going to.
Put a little sunshine in that COVID presentation.
Yeah. All right. So
We touched all those.
Yeah, we touched all those. So what's you okay.
No,
All
I'm-
right.
I'm
what?
just going back down to legal.
Okay, you want to go to legal. Okay, since you highlighted it, what's COO?
I only highlighted it because it just happened to me.
Okay.
So a COO is a certificate of occupancy that is coming from town hall. And that just means that the house is complete. So with us doing a lot of new construction, we tend to lean into what we, from our life experiences. And Friday, we had a closing that had been delayed because of the gas company, because of Eversource. They're having a lot of trouble with scheduling right now, but thankfully it happened, and we were only a day behind. Either way, we couldn't get the certificate of occupancy until the gas line was in, so that the plumbing inspector could go out, so that the building inspector could go out and give their final sign-offs. So what the certificate of occupancy is saying is the town certifying that the house is ready for human inhabitants. If you don't have a certificate of occupancy, you can't inhabit a house, period. That trumps everything. Like cash isn't going to get you around it. It trumps everything. So
5 minutes left on our show.
oh my gosh.
I
Wait,
know.
I know you have some stuff you have to talk about.
Oh, yes. So this weekend on Saturday, October 23rd from 9 to 12, we're going to be doing a yard sale here at Boston Connect Real Estate. And we are located at 19 Mattakeesit Street, right
So
in Pembroke
exciting.
Center. Yeah, right in Pembroke Center, across from Stop and Shop, next to Shepherd's. It's going to be great. So we're doing this thing where, we have a lot of office furniture and staging furniture and even stuff from our own homes that we're going to be putting into this yard sale. All of the proceeds are going to be going to My Brother's Keeper and Pembroke Food Pantry. The other thing that we are doing for both My Brother's Keeper and Pembroke Food Pantry is we want to collect non-perishable goods, especially now that the holidays are coming up. And both, My Brother's Keeper and Pembroke Food Pantry does a lot for the community during the holidays. So we have this thing where we're going to give you a ticket, but if you bring a canned good, you pay what you can. So every canned good or non-perishable food item that you bring to the yard sale, we will give you a ticket. And that ticket is good for one of the items in our yard sale where you can sort of name your price. So everything will have a price on it that we set for it. But if you have a ticket because you brought a non-perishable canned good or food good for us, you will be able to name your price. So say we put $1 on it and you're feeling very generous, so you're going to do $2 or $5, or you can only pay 50 cents.
Maybe the
you name it.
opposite. You could get a Mercedes for $10.
We all have Mercedes sitting in our.
Never know.
Sharon doesn't even have a Mercedes anymore. So
You never know.
You never know. Come by and see if we have a Mercedes, even though I just said that we don't. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. We're also doing a jack-o'-lantern contest. So like we do every year, our annual jack-o'-lantern contest for Halloween. You can send your pictures of your jack-o'-lanterns with you and your pumpkin to administration@bostonconnect.com, or you can send it to your Boston Connect real estate agent, and they can give that to me. And everybody that comes by our office for Halloween, we always do a trick-or-treating event, can vote for their favorite jack-o'-lantern, and the top two, so one in the adult category and one for the kids category, will get a $50 gift card. Either it's
Visa,
American
Mastercard,
Express,
yeah.
Visa, one of those things. So we do that every year, and I usually in like the 12th hour I get like 100. I get so excited, and I always get so many submissions.
Guys,
so
are we
it's
dressing
really
up
hard.
this year?
Yeah, I have a hot dog costume, so I don't know if you guys want to
Want me to be mustard?
Mustard and relish.
yeah, you can do that. I have that I have that for a party, a hot dog. And somebody's ketchup and somebody's mustard. So there we go.
We'll just borrow those costumes.
Yeah. So yeah, those are some fun things that are
I'm
happening.
excited
here.
about the yard sale. I think that'll be a good.
Yeah. So catch the three of us and Sharon McNamara this Saturday at our office, 9 to 12 for our pay what you can, bring a can, pay what you can yard sale. So
Yay. I'm so excited. I actually have so much stuff that I had just decided to like kind of give away. Like
I feel like I
clothes and
have
things
so much
like that.
stuff too, but I'm like coming off of like a vacation high. So I'm like, okay, how do I get into the basement and get all my stuff out? Because now I'm like, oh my gosh,
I was going to say to you, like, when do we figure out like how we're doing this?
I guess
I don't know.
Good.
People,
Yeah,
there will be
we'll talk
pretty
about it
awesome
at the
stuff.
office meeting.
Yeah.
The logistics.
Yeah. So we have about a minute left. Kristen, this is your opportunity to tell all of our listeners who
How
you
wonderful.
are, how wonderful you are, how people can reach you, all that fun stuff.
You're making me blush again. Kristen Howlett, 617-448-4896.
Again.
617-448-4896. Call me. I'm your girl.
Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
everyone.
Thank you.
Good night. That was a quickie.
WA